In 1973, Senator Norris Cotton of New Hampshire announced that he would be retiring from the Senate after serving for almost 2 decades. This led to a competitive campaign to emerge between 2 candidates, the Democrat John Durkin and the Republican Louis Wyman. And during the elections in the fall of 1974, Wyman ended up winning, but only by about 355 votes. Now, since the results were so close, Durkin asked for a recount, with the new results showing that Durkin had actually won, but only by 10 votes. Wyman appealed this outcome, which led there to be another recount, with it now showing that Wyman had won the election, but only by 2 votes. Now this back and forth led there to be outcries from the public, with the supporters of each political party claiming that their candidate had won. In order to resolve this issue, Wyman proposed that they simply hold another election, but since Durkin claimed that the first recount, which he had won, was the most accurate, the election dispute now had to be brought to the US Senate. However, things became even more contentious when Norris Cotton retired from the Senate early on December 31st. This led the governor of New Hampshire to appoint Louis Wyman to the empty seat, allowing him to serve as a senator, but only for the last 3 days of Congress. And when the new Congress began on January 3rd, the seat was left empty while the Senate attempted to resolve the issue. But the dispute largely ended up being kicked back and forth between the Rules Committee and the Greater Senate. Now during this time, Wyman had attempted to convince Durkin to agree to a new election, but he kept rejecting the idea. However, as the dispute continued to drag on for months and months, Durkin finally gave in and agreed to hold a new election in September of 1975. This agreement between the two resolved the issue for the Senate, and it also allowed the governor of New Hampshire to temporarily appoint someone to the empty seat. So Norris Cotton was brought out of retirement and returned to the Senate in August of that year. And when the new elections were held in the fall of 1975, Durkin ended up winning, but this time, he won by almost 27,000 votes. Wyman accepted these results and returned to New Hampshire, eventually becoming a member of the state Superior Court, while Durkin ended up losing his re-election campaign in 1980 as a result of the Reagan Revolution. He attempted to make a political comeback in 1990, but he would end up losing that election as well. Eventually, he retired from politics and returned to being a lawyer. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. If you'd like to have early access and give feedback on this type of content, please consider joining the Patreon. And as always, thanks to my patrons Untroid and DC. Thank you so much for the support you have given me so far.